Hi, I'm Carolyn Evans Hammond, and welcome to my tasting room. Carolyn's tasting room is where you can taste exciting drinks with me. And tonight, we taste a selection that is just perfect for St. Patrick's Day. Although that day is often associated with green beer, I'm here to introduce you to some smart alternatives that taste bright and as fresh as the Emerald Island. So the selection includes the 2023 Tahanga Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, New Zealand, the 2022 Whitehaven Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, the Thornbury Wild Blueberry Elderflower Apple Cider from Ontario, and the non-elk HP Juniper Classic Gin from Quebec. So let's taste. So the first wine in our flight is the 2023 Tahanga Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, New Zealand. And the thing about Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc is it's just so full throttle in the area of all things green. So think green apple, lime, gooseberry. It should all be there in varying degrees. So pour yourself a glass and let's taste. First, the color, pale straw, typical for Sauvignon Blanc, clear, bright, suggestibility, everything we want to see. Now give it a swirl and let's have some fun. Have a sniff. Isn't that great? Salted lime. Gooseberries, yes, absolutely. A hint of grapefruit, but pink grapefruit. And green apple, sliced Granny Smith. It just smells juicy, and smelling it makes your mouth water, doesn't it? It's great. Now let's have a sip. Isn't that delicious? It's just so easy to enjoy. Saturates a palate, makes your mouth water, and it lingers on the finish with an interesting little note of salinity, leaving the palate saline or seasoned, making you want to eat something. So let's have a taste technically. Have a quick sip. We're going to focus on the tip of the tongue to see if it's dry or sweet. It's dry. It's not bone dry, but it is dry. There's only a few grams of residual sugar, just enough there to make it really taste polished and smooth. Do you notice that? And that's great. Let's have another sip. Focus on the sides of the palate to see how much your mouth waters. Whoa, a lot? Me too. Now that's because there's sky-high acidity. You don't notice when you're just drinking it because there's so much fruit stuffing. And that fruit stuffing cascades with all the elements we found on the nose and lingers on the finish, leaving behind that saline note that's so fetching. So let's have a sip. Let's see if we can, watch the arc of flavor as it goes. Streams in initially with fresh citrus, lime and gooseberry and a little bit of that grapefruit, and then it starts receding and it becomes a little bit more like grapefruit zest. The sliced apple comes in, and then the saline. This is the kind of wine for St. Patrick's Day I would pour it with asparagus spears rolled with prosciutto and roasted in the oven for fabulous finger food. Now the last Sauvignon Blanc was, Tahanga is $15 in Canada and around $12 in the US. Now we're tasting one that's a little bit more premium at about $20 in Canada and about $15 in the US. And I think it's a slightly different expression. Also one I really like though. It's Whitehaven Sauvignon Blanc, also from Marlborough. So pour yourself a glass, also quite pale. Give it a swirl and a sniff. Do you notice that? Yes, we're still in the green spectrum, but it's slightly more restrained. Lime, jalapeno, and salt. Almost crushed oyster shell here. Are you noticing those things? Do you see how different the expression is? Both fetching, both interesting, but just different. Apples to oranges here, or Sauvignon Blanc to Sauvignon Blanc. So have a sip and let's see how it appears on the palate or how it presents. Isn't that great? The charm of this wine is its texture. It's so seamless. It's like a sheet of silk flooding in. Do you notice that? And it's sheer. Yes, there's lots of illusions, but those illusions are shifting and sheer and linger on the finish. It's not quite as forward as the last wine, but the subtlety is quite filled with finesse, if you like. So let's have a quick taste and see if we can follow it. Lime for me, immediately lime. And then it quickly morphs to jalapeno. Then there's a little bit of white flowers, a little bit of green pear maybe, twist of grapefruit, but more white grapefruit. And then the finish, my palate, all seashells, crushed seashells. This is the kind of wine that, guacamole and chips would be perfect for. Perfect with that jalapeno saltiness and a little bit of lime too on the finish. Lime zest is fantastic. Now, have one more sip and let's just focus on it technically. Tip of the tongue, very dry, drier than the last. Lots of mouthwatering acidity, perfect balance. No alcoholic heat showing at the back of the palate, and this is 13% alcohol, so it's slightly fuller bodied than the last wine, but still lighter in the white wine spectrum. So this is a great wine for St. Patrick's Day. And the third drink in our flight is from Thornbury, Ontario, and it's a cider. Now, it's made from local apples, but this one also is infused with wild blueberries from Quebec and elderflower, giving it that stroke of green flavor. So pour yourself some cider. Now notice I'm pouring it over a large cube of ice. The reason there is the large cube is not going to dilute it very quickly, but it's going to keep it nice and cold because cider should be cold. Now this is also a really pretty color, isn't it? Like this pale a pale pink. So to make it green, suitable for the occasion, I am serving it with fruit skewers. So you might want to take inspiration there, but in the meantime, isn't that beautiful? So beautiful. Have a sniff. Clean, 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 clean. The most important thing with all drinks is that it has great purity on the nose, a purity of fruit. Cider, in many ways is just apple wine. And here we have a purity, and that's so important. There's nothing off-putting. So fresh apples, yes, but blueberries too. And a little bit of the elderberry, but not a lot on the nose. So let's have a sip. Isn't that delicious? It's got that sweet sour thing that you always, want in a cider. This has a little bit of residual sugar, but there's lots of mouth-watering acidity, so it makes you just want to keep sipping. I'm thirsty already. Now, as we sip it, what I like about it is, do you notice how, yes, this is a fizzy drink, it's cider, but it's not aggressive. The bubbles are tiny, mark of quality, and the flavors cascade. So you're getting complexity here, which makes it different and separate than many other drinks that are more simple. At first, the apple, crisp apple, but as that recedes, the blueberry nuances come to the fore, and it's on the finish is where the elderflower, comes back. And I love that because the elderflower, which is sort of a very green sort of floral note, leaves the palate seasoned, and for me, that's where the fruit skewers come in. And the fourth drink in our flight is a non-alcoholic gin that I really like. It's HP Juniper Classic Gin, and I'm making it into a gin and tonic with a slice of lime for St. Patrick's Day. So here's the gin. You've probably got it at home. Take a glass with ice. Now what I've got here is a large piece of ice, because what that does is it will melt slower while retaining the good chill on the drink. I've got some pre-poured 2 ounces of the gin. I pour in there. And then I pour about the same amount of the tonic. You can, do what you like with tonic, because it's really to personal taste. But I like about half and half, because I like that balance of flavor. Little stir. And now we can garnish with, the gin or the lime, or give it a squeeze later. But first we're just going to experience this. Do you notice that? There's lots going on the nose. Yes, you're getting the quinine from the tonic, but you're also getting illusions of a lot of other things, which brings me to the gin. The thing about this gin is it's no sugar, no sweeteners, no calories. It's simply flavored with lots of natural essences. And I like that, because there's lots of powerful flavor there, but it's very nuanced. And they actually name the flavors on the bottle. So this has juniper, juniper berries, yuzu lemon, organic cucumber, cinnamon, coriander seeds, lemongrass, eucalyptus, and organic rosemary. So lots of beautiful herbs and spices and citrus. Lemon, things, and vegetables. There's cucumber. So these are the things that are going to nuance this drink, and a lot of them allude to all things green. So St. Patrick's Day, full circle. So let's have a little taste. Tastes very grown up, doesn't it? There's no sugar. Doesn't taste sweet. It's a little bit in the tonic water, but it's not overpowering. Beautifully balanced, and it's complex with everything we see on the label found on the palate, and it's long and it's lingering, and there's a nice little bit of a tang, but there's also almost an illusion of herbaceousness, which I like. And that grown-up feel is so important, because in the non-alc space where there is no alcohol, you're looking for that adult piece. And that adult piece comes from nuanced complexity. So that's what I love about this gin, and I think it's a great cocktail for St. Patrick's Day. So there you have it, a flight of drinks that are perfect for St. Paddy's Day. Which one did you like best? Let me know. Hit me up on social, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because I'm coming right back with another flight of delicious wines, spirits, and other drinks here on Carolyn's Tasting Room, so you can drink better and learn how.